Hi,
My voice is
girls.
kind of like,
Hi.
Love your earrings, Billy. They're so cute.
Thank you.
yes, they
Thank
are.
you.
You look cute. Are you going on a date?
No.
Billy just put the only face right now.
Well, so I went on a few dates with myself, which I really, really enjoy.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't enjoy paying for myself, but I do enjoy those dates. But no, I'm not dating currently.
Oh, so then
Mm.
it
Hey,
should
with
be.
myself.
That's fine, and it's okay. And I think that should
Mhm.
be anything, everything, and all things dating and relationships. That's what I want to
Yes,
talk about today.
I love it.
All
Well,
right.
for our listeners, just because we talked about Billy's pretty earrings, she has
Yeah,
purple or lavender. I think those are lavender butterfly earrings that just look really fabulous.
yeah.
So if you're listening to us, but you want to check out Billy's earrings, make sure you visit our YouTube channel.
Yes. And comment on her
And
earrings.
comment. Yes, yes.
Or come and pay for my dinner. Like either or. I mean,
Yeah, invite her to dinner, somebody.
Yeah.
Invite her to
I'll
dinner.
wear the earrings. I promise.
I love that. I love
Billy, when was
that.
the last time you went on a date?
With myself, because I think that is important.
Mhm.
I think about 3 weeks ago, and it was so cute. I bumped into a girlfriend, and she's like, I need to do what you do. And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, going on dates. And I was like, are you not with your husband anymore? Because in my mind, like she was dating somebody else, And I was like, wait, are you not with your husband? I mean, and you should still go on dates with your partner, right? Your husband, partner, whatever. But in my mind, it automatically went. I was like, wait, are you not with your husband? She was like, yeah, but like dates on your own, like with yourself. And I was like, oh.
Mhm.
Yes, I was like, you should. Everyone should go on dates with themselves. I love dates by myself, and not because that's the only person that I can take on a date right now. But I think, I just spend that time with myself, And I guess we
Mhm.
also talk about that's part of my self-care too. Adding to what we spoke about in the past, taking myself
Mhm.
out on a date and eating my favorite cuisine is definitely something that I enjoy doing. But no,
That's
not in a
I
relationship, and that's okay because I'm also in a relationship with myself, working on myself as well.
That's
Well,
important.
I think it's important. Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think it's important to know that even if you are in a relationship with another person, you're still in a relationship with yourself, first and
Mm-hmm.
foremost, because you and yourself have been together forever. And if you don't take care of yourself in all the ways, then you can't give to your partner.
Sorry,
Um,
I thought about a vibrator. I was like, all the
yeah,
way. Yes, all of the ways. Yes.
all of the ways. I think that's also very necessary.
No, definitely it's self-care. You have to take care of yourself in order to take care of
Hmm.
your partner if you're in a relationship.
Yeah.
To our listeners, I have been in a relationship for 15 years. We're not married. I know, right? Billy just opened her eyes really, really wide.
Well, Camilo, I love Camilo. I'm sorry. I love Camilo. You guys are perfect for each other. And it's lovely to see. And 15 years. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like that. Not for me.
It's going to be 20 years that we've known each other, but 15 years in a relationship and like 10 years living together, if I have that right or correct. Yeah. About that long. But we do still have dates. So those are important even when you're in a relationship because life gets in the way and you just forget about just those moments. Even just sitting on the couch watching, well, he watches my junk TV. Like in our previous episodes, we've spoken about that. But he does sit with me and watch my junk TV with me, or I go to the movie theaters. And if you've listened to our other podcasts, I do not like going to the movie theaters.
But you
So
go
we
for
do.
him.
Yeah, of course, you have to sacrifice, make those sacrifices for the
No,
person.
no. What was it? Compromising. Not
All right.
sacrificing.
Compromising, yes.
Yeah, compromising. I'm going to say again today. But yes, you do have to compromise and have those date nights with your partner. And they're important and kind of like not just talk about your day, but talk about your next goals, your next trips, anything that
Hmm.
may be coming up because those are important as well. How about you, Betsy?
I have been with Jason now 13 years. Yes, 13 years. We've been living together 10, I believe. It is, 10 years with two kids. Well, sorry, two sets of kids. And I say two sets of kids because we don't have a biological child together. So I have my 2 girls and he has his son, and now we have our dog. So technically that's 3 sets of
I was
kids.
just gonna say you forgot Jasper.
Well, no, I kind of was combining a boy and girl. So like the
Okay.
girls in one set, boys in another. But technically Jasper came later in the picture. So it's been it's been like very interesting, difficult, crazy, happy. I think it's important to date your partner no matter what. And I think for a while, right after we got our house, we stopped dating each other, which kind of just created mundaneness, which happens in long-term relationships when you're so busy with kids and you're busy with work and you're busy with like launching businesses or entrepreneurship, that whatever you have, you can become mundane. But it's really important. I think we were able to identify that we fell into this rut of like just basicness. And there's nothing wrong with basicness. But the problem with that is that over time, you can kind of, I don't know, lose that connection. And I remember identifying, I'm like, hey, we haven't gone out in a long time. We haven't done these things in a long time. Like, let's pick it back up. Like, let's go out and do something.
Yeah.
So yeah, we 13 years. I need to start dating myself more. I do go on individual stuff a lot. But I haven't recently, except I did go on a trip by myself. So I'll take that back. No.
Yeah.
So yes, dating by myself is great. It's amazing. And dating person.
I do go on dates on myself, and I do take advantage when Camilo has business trips. So that's vacation to me. So
It is. It's really great. Like Jason
yeah.
was away for a week recently and it was great. I actually got time by myself. And then Jaden was at his mom. So it was like me and my girls. And then I think a couple months ago, a couple weeks ago, it was just me and Jaden at home. And Jason was away and the girls were away. So we kind of, those moments, if you can take advantage of them and go, just because we're alone doesn't mean that we're not all 5 together. You can't do something as a smaller unit.
Yeah.
Jasper loves alone time with anyone, so he's always happy.
I also agree. I mean, I also think that partners should have like their own sets of friends, and they should go out with their friends as well. That's important
1000.
as well, because it doesn't have to be, I don't have to be revolving around your life 24/7. It's important for you to have your set of friends, your set of things that you like with those friends, and myself as well, because I do go out with friends, and I try to go out with those friends on weekdays, because weekends is the only time that Camilo and I have the time to spend together. So I feel like if you are going to make the time with the friends, try, and it doesn't have to be 100% all the time, but try to make those dates on the weekdays or on days that I'm really busy, and weekends time for us. Let's go out and do something fun.
I remember when Jay and I want to say maybe like 2 or 3 years into us living together, and I'd go out with coworkers, and he was just like, "No, I want to hang out with you," and I was like, "Listen, I love you, but I need you to go with your friends." He's like, "Yeah, but you're my wife, and I'm like, he's like, I never heard of a wife encouraging her husband to leave. I was like, please leave, go.
Yeah, I
I don't
agree.
care. As long as you come home and you're doing what you're supposed to do, like go out, because it's important for you to have your individual time so that when you come back home, we have more to talk about. It isn't just us. And when we bought our house, that's what started happening. It's a financial thing, so we couldn't really go out too much. So we didn't have fruitful things to talk about unless it was like kids, school, work, and house. That was it. It's individual time with yourself, individual time with your friends, and then as a whole, I think those are important. That's a very good balance in life and in relationships. Billy, for you, how do you manage and maneuver dating and apps? I've never used an app, so I'm that old.
You weren't like the chats, like the AOL chats back in the days?
Okay.
Or
Yeah,
terra.com? You guys don't remember that?
I do remember. I don't consider those apps,
Well,
but
yeah, of course not.
I did do the phone dating thing where it was before Mi Gente, before everything existed, is where you had a profile on your phone.
Oh.
And you would, I don't know if I forgot what they were
remember that.
called. Okay, so yes, there was this, it was like AOL, but on a phone, and you had this mailbox that existed, and you would say, hi, my name is Betsy. I do this, and so on and so forth. And you can listen to people's profiles. And then if someone really liked your profile, they would leave you a message and you can kind of chat with them. I ended up having great conversations with a bunch of guys. And there was this one guy who I really enjoyed talking to. And we finally met. And when I tell you, that was my last time ever meeting someone online that I never knew and never saw. It literally was the last time. First and last. He literally looked like Life with Louie, the character. And he did not, I was so catfished. He was older than what he said he was. And I never wanted to see him again. And then I ran into him. I told him that I was pregnant and I moved on with someone else. And like, I'm sorry, but I can't talk to you, because he really wanted to stay with me really quick. And then 4 years later, I run into him at a party. I pretended I didn't know who the heck he was, and I was a completely different person. I was like, I don't know who you are.
So he looks like Louis, you said. So Louis, if you're listening, please, we want your side of the story.
No, that was not great.
Yeah, I did the chats. I think, I don't remember which chat it was, but I also got catfish. Of course, we had to meet in a public place. I think I was still in college. It was Hunter College. And I said, okay, I'll meet you here in this place. And he was much older than the picture, like much older. And I think maybe I saw him twice, and that was, I was like, nah. I mean, I used to like older men, but I was like, this is where I draw the line. No, thank you very much. No, and that was it, first and last time.
Okay, so Billy, you tell us your woes, your ups and downs, the benefits, the not.
Well,
the
so
ugly.
I don't know about any of those chats, because I feel like I was always in a relationship since I was 16 or so. I was always in a relationship, whether it was like a year, 3 years, my longest being 7 years. So I really didn't start dating and using the apps up until, I think, pandemic year.
Really?
Okay.
I think so. I think that was the first, or maybe not. Maybe before that.
I think it was the year before.
It was recent. It was recent. Maybe like 6 years. I don't think it was more than 6 years ago. Yeah. And I just feel like when you're young, right? You meet people because, you're either in school or, you're hanging out with friends, and maybe a friend knows a friend or a family knows a family member. I'm in my 30s. I know everybody that I need to know. And I know everybody that I need to know that I don't want to be with. So I really don't have many options at my age. And I meet, if I go to a club, I'm not trying to date nobody that I meet at a club or a bar. I mean, it could happen, right? Some people are lucky and that's the love of their lives, and they go on and get married and have a beautiful family. I haven't been that lucky. So I'm just like, okay, well, what else is out there for me? What are the options that I have? There is no Ecuadorian matchmaker. So that's not, because I would really like to find a nice Ecuadorian man.
I think we have a business plan now. That is a great business idea. Finding an Ecuadorian,
I would really like to find a nice, tall Ecuadorian man. Yeah, good luck. Good luck finding a nice, tall Ecuadorian man.
Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry.
This is not impossible.
Sorry to the tall Ecuadorian.
A nice, tall Ecuadorian. What do you mean tall? Because tall for me,
because we're short. We're all short.
Like, if you're asking for 5'10",
I know.
I mean, because we're short. I mean, I'm 5'2". Billy, how tall are you?
4'11" and a half.
Okay. I like how you're very specific.
Yeah.
Betsy.
Half matters.
I am owning that half.
You should. As a 4'11" person, you own that half, because I don't have that.
Okay.
But so the dating world spoiled me or the apps, because prior to dating through the apps, I really always dated Ecuadorian men, and Nathy, you can attest to that, and Betsy, you can attest to that. Like, I really, so they're not tall. The problem is,
technically, you just need a 5'5".
No, so before I used to be like, as long as you're taller than me, we're good.
Yeah.
We're good, right? If I could wear my heels and you're still taller, we're good. So like 5'4", whatever. But then I went on a few dates with men that were much taller, and we're talking about like 6 feet, and you see how my eyes are glowing. It's just like 6 feet tall men. Like, I get so excited.
It's like Christmas for you.
Yeah. So now I'm like, I love how I feel standing next to a man, like a tall man, you know. But I'm 38 now. I mean, this I need to get married. So, any nice man
No, you
that's
don't.
taller than me, I would like to get married. No, I don't have to get married, but I would like to get
Okay, that's
That's a
different.
very that's a
That's
very
really
different
Yeah.
statement.
Yeah.
Needing and
I would love to
needing
be
and
married.
wanting are two different. Yeah.
Not gonna marry anyone just because I want to be married, but I would love to get married to the person that I think is my person. So
Okay.
yeah, I would. Right now, what I really look for is someone who can speak Spanish, because then they could interact with my family.
Mhm.
Someone who's open minded. I feel like this is like a dating.
I know.
Maybe a book on here. No, what was the question? Dating apps.
So this is relationships and dating apps. However, we're actually,
Yeah. 6
it
foot.
turns into exploring a tall or tall-ish Spanish man,
Ecuadorian man.
Anything, but
Ecuadorian
if he speaks
specifically,
Spanish,
preferably Ecuadorian or within that region, but he needs to be tall. What's your minimum? 5'8"?
I guess 5'7".
Okay, well, for those of you that can't see us, Billy literally just scratched her head and was like, 5'8" is too small for me.
I mean,
Oh.
all right. But so I also had a catfish story real quick. So
Okay.
you really, I based it on like pictures, but also the content. Like there's questions that and different apps can be different things for everybody. Like I'm not ready to pay for an app. I'm not at the point where, okay, I really want to settle down, I'm gonna pay for an app. No, right now I just do the free things, and sometimes you get a role that you can give to somebody for free. But what I look for, I look at the pictures, and it kind of sucks because like you make the decision already based on looks, and sometimes people just are not photogenic, or maybe they don't know how to create their page, and they're just choosing the wrong pictures, or they're picking pictures that they think people might like. I don't like seeing pictures of men shirtless. That's a total turn off for me.
Right.
But maybe some women like that. They're like, "Ooh, this is what they're working with." For me, I don't. So if I see a picture of a shirtless man, I left.
You want to be surprised.
What happened?
You want to be surprised. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, no. I don't know. To me, that's just tacky. That's to me,
Right.
So when I see a man without a shirt, to the left. So if I like what I see, with my eyes see, then I'm like, okay, now let me read let me read the content. Yeah. So, but sometimes you can't. I've only been catfished once, and I've been on a lot of like dates, too many. But still, like that was one, and it wasn't a terrible experience because we actually had a really good time. I at the point where I saw him, I couldn't turn around because he knew who I was. So it was too late to be like, oh, I got food poisoning, whatever. It was too late. So I was like, you know what? Let me just make the best of it because we got to. I'm hungry, so and we had a good time. But he lied about. He posted pictures that were from like probably like 8 years before that current time. He wasn't the same person.
But was he tall?
He was taller. I think he was probably like 5'8".
Okay.
But he was a little bit heavy set, and I'm sorry, I don't like men that are a little bit heavier. But so we went on this date, right? And then through conversation, I'm just like, I'm trying to gain like whether he was aware that he was heavy set, and he explained that he was going through some difficult times. So he stopped exercising, he kept eating like takeout and all this. So I was like, okay. But to me, it sounded like he was aware that this is not who he wanted to be, that he wasn't comfortable in this body. And I was like, that's great, because that shows that he's motivated. And you know what? Yeah, I mean, why not? We could, if you're willing to, we'll work together, But a few months went by, or maybe weeks, and there was just absolutely no motivation. Like the motivation that he spoke about in our date, it wasn't reflected by his day-to-day like activities. Like he lived across the street from Astoria Park. Like there's a beautiful track there at night, this beautiful sunset. Like I would just love to run there all the time, but he wasn't taking advantage of that, or going on like bike rides, which he said he loved to do. And I was like, I don't know. Like I'm not trying to be like your mom or your therapist or your gym coach, but like I just didn't see motivation, and that was where I was like really turned off. So
you were willing to give it a chance if he was willing to work on himself.
Yes. Yeah, because I was like, okay, he wasn't bad looking. you know,
Mhm.
but I didn't want to be responsible of like all of these big feelings that he had
Mhm.
that he wasn't working on.
Well,
Because
that's
it's not.
also
I'm sorry, Betsy, but I don't think it's
okay.
about lowering your expectations, but definitely giving that person the chance and the benefit of the doubt at that point,
Mhm,
right?
mhm. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're already seeing red flags, if a
Right.
person's already having issues within themselves, understand that they can't give you. It goes back to what we were saying earlier. It's dating for yourself and taking care of yourself. If he isn't happy within himself, how can he bring you happiness? He has to
Mm-hmm.
work on whatever he's going through. It isn't about a physical thing. It is about an internal thing. And then obviously the physical comes out afterwards. Um, it wasn't going to be a fruitful relationship whether he lost the weight or didn't, but at least if he was a person that was able to, he needed to work on himself at the end of the day, no matter
Mhm.
what. It was somebody
Yeah,
that needs to work on themselves.
and I didn't see that. I heard it, and it sounded great on our first date, but then I didn't see it, and I was just like, well,
Mm,
I want to see it, and not more for me. I mean, yeah, it'll feel great, right? But for
mhm,
him, you know, and I just
mhm.
was like, I cannot take that. Like, I can't take that on me. Like, it just, I'm
Well,
working
it's
on
not
me.
your
So,
responsibility. At the end of the
No,
day, it's
yeah.
really not your
yeah,
responsibility. He has to
yeah,
want to make those changes for himself, and then be able to be in a relationship with you or whoever it was that he was going to
Yeah.
choose to be in a
yeah.
relationship.
And, you know, that only happened once, and I've been on many dates that I've met from people on different apps. I really like Hinge. Hinge, thumbs up. I mean, we're not sponsored by them, but I do like Hinge. I feel like the people that I've seen on Hinge, the men, I don't know, they're more mature. I want to say. I mean, you
Mhm.
get,
Okay.
yeah. But so I'm totally not saying that dating through the apps is terrible. I mean, I had one bad experience. I had one experience that wasn't great to start, or I guess end. But I definitely would go back on the apps when I'm ready to get back into the dating world. Right now,
When
Okay.
myself. So
So you're
Billy,
not
when
dating right now. I'm sorry, Nathy.
that's
So
okay.
you're not actively dating right now, right?
I'm just in a relationship with myself, and because I'm training for the marathon, I ain't got time for nobody. I ain't got time for nobody.
You don't have
Sorry.
time for us.
Look, if you run, we could meet. We could meet, talk, go on some. I could make you pasta. You know, come eat at my place, but it's difficult. You know what? Because
Mm,
to me, if I'm not in a relationship with someone, I want to be able to dedicate time to that person. You
Mhm.
know, and right
mm,
now I don't have the time because it's like Fridays I'm home, and I have to get to bed early because Saturdays I have to run in the morning. And then
mhm,
after a 10-mile run, like I'm kind of like, I kind of want to go take a nap. I kind of deserve a nap, you know? And then it's like, well, the weekend has gone. And I
yeah.
really can't say yes to parties because my body, right now, training for the marathon, my body is not accepting alcohol. It's not
Mm,
accepting like 4 in the morning, like parties. And so it's hard for me to date right now. So if
okay.
you're a runner, you would understand. We would get along. Yeah.
Billy, when do you think you would say that you would be ready to actually pay for a app that will find the match for you?
When I'm 41 and 6 months.
Diantre.
Demasiado muy específico.
Why that specific number?
I actually like to be like, whenever people are like, how far are you? I'm like 8 minutes away. People be like, not 10, not 5, no, 8.
Hey, no,
I
and
know.
if once you get to know Billy more, and if you've known her, for those of you that are listening to us that know her, she is that way. She's like, little sidebar. We were reading a book, and she's like, you know what? I don't want to cry until July, so we can't read anything that requires crying until July. And when I mean she was very specific, she really didn't read anything until July that made her cry. So she is 41 and what, 6 months?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. So we will talk back
Sooner,
when
I'm
you're.
open. I'm open to the idea if it happens sooner. That just give me more time to plan the wedding because it has to be spectacular.
We're going to
Like,
hold you
no,
accountable to that. 41
Okay.
and a half, I think you said, right?
Yeah, 41 and 6
41 and
months.
6 months.
Okay, boy.
Fuck, I gotta marry anybody at that point.
Anybody that's to our listeners, please jot that down on your
Yeah.
calendar.
Yeah.
Let Siri know that when she's 41 and 6
In
months,
6
that
I
she
months.
has
cook,
to start.
I clean, I do the laundry. I love to dance. I love to eat. Love to eat.
Does
Anything.
she love to dance? Oh
It
my
is
God.
messy, yeah.
I love to go
She loves
dance.
to eat. Dancing and eating are her number one, like, top things. She can dance all night, like literally party all night long.
Yeah, catch me November 5th after marathon. After the marathon is over. I'm gonna be dancing that night. I don't care if I just ran 26.2 miles. My ass is dancing.
Good.
Anyway, moving on to you ladies that are in relationships with other people. And it's been different for you guys because with Betsy, like, you're in a relationship with your partner, but also with your children and also with your
Yes.
mom. Like, I'm in a relationship with everybody in my family, but that's different. But
Mm-hmm.
I think the most important relationship should be with yourself, and then I think with
Mm-hmm.
your partner. People always like, who's more important, your partner or your kids? I think your partner is more important than your kids, or not important, but that relationship should come. Like, you should work on that one, especially.
So I do tell, especially moms, new moms, I do tell them that they have to. So as a mother, and I say as a mother who birthed two children, who has as I say, an inherited child because he is a great inheritance, and a four-legged puppy. Um, there's a switch that happens the minute you become a mother, and I think this is the switch is one society is what they've told you, but biologically I feel like for most women, not all women because it doesn't happen to all women, your children, it's like a lioness protecting her cubs. They are the priority. They're the ones that you're going to take care of. What I tell a lot of women, especially who are still with their partners, the father of their children, um I always say you have to remember to nourish that relationship, because without that partner, your children wouldn't be here. You wouldn't have been blessed with that. And I think what happens in a lot of relationship, aside from people getting in relationships that probably had a lot of red flags and you probably should have, kind of stepped away before even having children, but guess what? It's too late. They're here and you got to deal with them forever. So I always tell people, if you're happy in your relationship with the partner that you have, you're going to go through points where it's like your kids are number one, your kids are number one, but you forget that at one point your husband or your wife was your number one. And because of that person that you have in your life, and now whether it was adopted, gave birth, however your children came into this world, they are the reason you built this family. So you have to nourish that relationship. I think the first relationship you have to take care of is yourself, then your partner, and then your children. And I say it in that order. And a lot of people are going to say, like, my kids do come first, but I also understand that my kids and my partner are kind of the same in a way, because I can't be a good mother if I don't take care of me first. I can't be a good wife if I don't take care of me. And I can't be a good wife to him if I don't make sure that our relationship works. I also know that my relationship with him also affects our children. My children need to see what a healthy relationship that goes through ups and downs looks like. I have to have a great relationship with my children so that it's this revolving circle. It literally is that. There is no right or wrong way. There's days where your children are going to come first for a lot longer because they need you at that point. And then you just got to remember, like, oh, my partner, I gotta go, hey bud, how you doing? And vice versa. It's important in relationships that it's a give and go. It's not every day is 100%. Some days it's going to be 15% that you give to one area or the other, because you might need, I'm not going to do math right now really well, but if I do 75% of 70% to me, I have 30% left to give to other people. And that might be 5% Jason and 20% to my kids, and vice versa. It's something that there is no right or wrong way. I'm sorry, there is a wrong way. The wrong way is not taking care of all those relationships, but learning to say, at the end of the day, you have to take care of yourself. And even if that means I have to take a step back and go, I need a break from everybody, I need to breathe, that is you still giving them 100% of you, saying, me right now giving you my attention is not healthy. I have to take my attention away, and that's healthy in itself. I had to learn that later on in life, whether it's my children or my partner or my family or my job. um I think that's the best lesson. I wish I would have learned this sooner, but we all learn things when we're supposed to learn things. I don't know.
Correct.
Nathy, what about you? Because you've been in a long-term relationship as well.
Right, but my relationship is if I don't have children, only four-legged ones. So,
Mhm.
of course, I do take care of myself. Some people may say it's selfish, but you have to. You have to take care of yourself because if I don't take care of myself, then I can't take care of my partner, my
Mhm.
household. But it has worked out. We do go on dates. Like you said, days go on and our lives are mundane sometimes, but we do break out of those by going on vacation or even a walk at night. Like just take a
Mm.
walk. It's like, oh, let's just go take a walk and just talk about our day. That just
Mhm.
makes a huge difference. And it's just important to have that time with your partner. So I do definitely agree with Betsy. I come first and then my partner who is a little bit under because I have to take care of myself. That's
Mhm.
just how it really goes. And
And
it's hard. It's hard. I can't imagine myself having children and throwing them in my mix because I'm exhausted. I'm
mhm.
exhausted by the end of the day. I don't know how I would deal with children.
I just want to add, I never said I'm rested. I am exhausted. It is it is work. It is exhaustion. I get a lot of people say, "How do you do it?" And I said, "Honestly, this is how you do it. You take
Mhm,
1 second at a time, 1 day at a time,
mhm,
1 task at a time. I do kind of plan a lot of things in an advance notice because again, kids, they do require, especially when they're younger, they do require a lot of planning and so on and so forth. Calendar is very necessary. I even started putting on my calendar my time. I actually organize my calendar where I come first. And I'm the
mhm.
first subject as to what I want to do for me that day, whether it's take a nap, breathe, remember to breathe. And I kind of check these things off because I had to say, how am I taking care of myself? Because for many years, I wasn't taking care of myself. I was always go, 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 go. And I burnt myself out. Um, I think it's really important to understand that what you see on social media and on TV, where these moms look magnificent, like, oh my God, glorious, their babies are cute. That mom is exhausted. She's just showing you a front and it looks cute for the gram. That is it. A person that is really truly showing who they are will show you the woes of it or not. And I think it's important to be authentic in who you are and the negative. Once we can start being authentic with the good, the bad, there's days I don't like my kids. And there's days that I'm just like, oh, you guys are amazing. And my kids, and I told my kids this, it's okay to not like me. And it's okay for me to not like you today. I remember the first time I ever said that to my kids. They're like, Mom, really? You don't like me? And I was like, no, you're being a jerk right now. I don't like you. But I love you. My love for you is not any different because I don't like you right now. You've just done something to piss me off. That's
But
human nature.
correct me if I'm wrong, but does it get any easier because you do have two children that are much older? They're practically adults now. So you do have a
um,
younger one. You're not, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're not so responsible for the older ones anymore as much as you are more responsible to younger ones.
so I have been trying to figure out how to answer that.
Okay.
It changes. It is easier in the day-to-day stuff. It is to a certain extent. What I have noticed is that as a person that tries to make sure that we're all in sync because we're a blended family, I think that sometimes it's easy for us to fall out of touch, being that the girls, both sets of kids go to separate households and then kids are in different in colleges. So our schedules are insane. So I think trying to learn how to work with adult children is a little difficult. And I went through a mourning phase. I did go through this and I noticed that I was mourning my kids when they were graduating because I knew that I was entering the stage of I'm going to get to a point where I'm not going to see them all the time. And I can't, not that I wanted to control, but I'm not involved. I'm not a priority or involved in their day to day. It's more like they have to let me into their world. So
Right.
I'm very mindful of how do I keep us connected, being that it's so easy for us to kind of go our separate ways. And like Jaden goes to his mother's house, the girls go to their father's house. And if they're there for 2 to 3 weeks, how do I keep the conversation going so that we don't feel like are not talking to each other, or that when we do get back together, we are having a conversation and there is active. So it does get easier from the day-to-day stuff. Over
Mhm.
time, it does. It just becomes challenging in saying what my role is. And I think a lot of the other challenging thing, and then I say when I was mourning it, was understanding that I'm not, I can't control like I did with a little kid, like, no, you can't do
Mhm.
this. You're punished here. You do this.
Mhm.
I can't do that anymore. I can't control how my kid's day
Mhm.
is. They are in control of that, not me. And I think that was a realization that I had to come to terms with, because I wanted to be respectful to my children's time.
I mean,
So,
this is coming from a person that doesn't have children, but I feel like that would be a celebration instead of a mourning because, yeah, one, you're not so 1,000% responsible of them, and now you're giving them that chance to make decisions for themselves and making those mistakes that they're going to learn from. So
oh,
definitely, I would want you to see that as a celebration than a
It,
mourning, of course.
it could be a little bit of both,
it's
because
bittersweet.
I've never had kids, but I
Right.
have nieces, I have a niece and I have nephews, and even with my dog, like when Maxie was 10, I was just like, oh, because
Mhm.
there's like seniors already, and it's like, oh,
Right.
we know what's gonna happen. And it was happy because I was like, okay, we've made it to 10, I've kept you alive. But then it was like, oh, you're 10,
Yeah.
like I just don't have that much more time with you. And when it comes to like my niece and my nephews, you know, I mean, they still let me kiss them and hug them. I tell them I love them all the time, and they tell me that they love me. And they don't always ignore my messages, but it's different. They're not as available
Mhm.
to you as when they
Yeah.
were younger. My
Yeah.
nephews are in college away. I don't know, 6 hours away. I might not see them for every holiday like I used to, or every birthday. So it's
Hmm.
bittersweet because you love what they're doing with their lives and that they're like,
Yeah.
living their own life. Making their own choices, like you said, decisions. But it's not the same, and it's never going to
I
be the same.
I feel like I always put myself in my parents' shoes. Like when I hear comments made by parents or our parents' generation when they say, "Oh, you're leaving me." And you're abandoning me. No.
Hmm.
Did you abandon your mom when you were my age? No, you did not. You started your life and you
Hmm.
went and started a family. You did not abandon your mom. So that
Hmm.
really triggers me.
No, and you're 100% right. No one is leaving anyone. I think
Yeah.
when I say I was mourning
Mhm.
that they were not little anymore.
Mhm.
Because as a mother, you as a parent, because it's not just for females, as a parent, you you get this, you have all these stages. They're in your belly, or you see them
Mhm.
growing in some, whatever your adoption process is. You are going through these phases. And once you're out of that phase, you kind of then go, oh my God, like they they've surpassed this, and then there's a next stage. So for me, what I mourned was like, oh my God, my babies are not babies anymore.
Mhm.
And I had to come to terms, though I was very happy to the fact that I've raised great kids, I've kept them alive this long.
Yeah.
They're good kids, they're going to college, whether they go to college or not. They're great at, I have great kids. I was very much happy with the fact that they are good, but I was also mourning the fact that my relationship that was what this is now going to be that, and saying, oh, I need to let go of this and work on the next thing. So though I was sad, it's bittersweet. I was happy for the next stage. It just took me a second to get there. But let's get back to like the dating part, because I know this is dating and relationships. And
Yeah.
relationships go, I call them the ships. I tell my kids this all the time. It's the ships: your relationship with your partner, your relationship with your friends, your relationship with your coworkers, your job, relationship with yourself. So I call it the ships, because it's all of them. And they're all important for people to work on. And it's work at the end of the day.
It is. It is. Billy, so I know you're taking a break from dating for until you're like 41 in 6 months, apparently, or the marathon. But what do you think? Like, what does it benefit to our listeners who are not dating? How do they
Hmm.
benefit from there in terms of personal growth and self discovery?
Well, actually, I'm taking a break until the new year. I'm not trying to buy nobody no
Yeah.
gift. Nope, nope, not trying to do that. Um, so I dated someone and we broke up last year in March. So when we
Mm,
broke up, it was difficult. It was a difficult breakup, as you ladies know. I was very heartbroken because I did not see it going that way. But at the end of the
mm,
day, it was best. It was best for myself. It was best for this person because
mm,
we saw our future lives differently. And if you see your life differently than the person that you think you're going to be with, then you shouldn't be with that person, right? Because we're already adults. I think we know what we want. We're set in our ways. I wasn't going to change what I wanted, and he wasn't, and he shouldn't have to, and I shouldn't have to. Anyway, so after we broke up, I was just like, oh, I really didn't focus on exercising. And I love classes. I love taking, different classes. And I just like doing new things. And I really wasn't doing a lot of that because I was focused on work and I had my internship and I was in the relationship. So I kind of lost track of Billy. I really wasn't focused on like what is Billy doing for herself that she
mm,
wants to do. And don't get me wrong, I loved spending time with him, but it was my days off were just with him,
mm,
so when we broke up, I was like, I kind of lost myself, and I lose myself in relationships because I want to make the other person happy. I want to be present for the other person. That's just who I
mm,
am. So when we broke up, I got on ClassPass and I was like, what can I do? I love yoga. And I'm pretty sure I took a few yoga classes, but I also joined rowing classes, and I love rowing classes thanks to what was it, that show, House of Cards? I was
Oh
just like,
yeah.
oh, that looks amazing. And I was like, let me take a rowing class. I've always wanted to try it. Let me take it. I took the rowing class, and because I wanted to focus on me and I wanted to
mm,
find myself, because I was just like, oh, I lost myself in the relationship. And I asked Nathy, and I was like, was I a good friend when I was in the relationship? Because I don't remember. I don't remember if I ever checked in with you ladies. I remember Betsy and I, we had our book club. So I saw Betsy every week.
yeah.
But outside of the book club, I'm like, what kind of a friend was I? I don't want to be that friend that forgets about her girlfriends or guy friends or a family when she's in a relationship. So
Mhm,
after that, I was like, whoa, Billy, you weren't a terrible person, but you weren't the person that you really want to be. So I was like, how can I be this person that individually, even when I'm in a relationship?
mm,
So yeah, I think taking that time off, I mean, it's brought me to a whole different, like, I'm running the fucking marathon.
mhm,
I would have, if I was still in that relationship or any relationship, I don't think I would be running it because I just didn't have the time for it. So through the rowing class, I met a wonderful person. Shout out to Millie. She introduced me to a running group, and that's when it took off. It was like, oh, let's run 5K, 3 miles. Let's run a 6K, 6 miles. And then it's like, oh, let's sign up for the marathon. And I was like, whoa, this was on my bucket list, but this shit is really happening. It's really happening.
mhm,
So I would have never discovered that I could run 26. Well, I haven't. Let me not jinx it. But so far, the 20th is the most that I've run. But I would have never discovered that I can run 20 miles had I not broken up with that person. And
mm,
I love him for what we were, and for what he taught me and how he made me feel and all the experiences that we had. Um, but he just wasn't the right person. And after that, I was just like, well, I need to be the right person for me too. So
okay.
yeah, it's
I think I think that's a really, for our listeners, I think it's really important to hear that you were able to identify, though the breakup happened and it was very sad, and I know that, but that you were able to identify that the person you were with, it took for you to break up, which is, things happen in life for what they're supposed to be, right? Good or bad. But it took that for you to now learn this thing about yourself, saying that you lost yourself, so that when you are in your next relationship, which is why we were saying earlier, it's important to date yourself. So when
Mhm.
you stop dating you and you stop taking care of you, you lose who you are. And a lot of people in relationships, even myself and plenty of my friends, have told me, I lost myself because I'm giving to my children, I'm giving to this. There's two things here in tandem. You are no longer who you were, especially if you're a parent. And obviously, you've gotten older. So you're not who you were when you first started the relationship. And two, when you start the relationship, if the relationship is all that you see and all that you do, the individual that came in is no longer the same, and now you have to find out who you are in the long run. It's why we have to make sure that we take time for ourselves, that I do my book club with you, that I, go on my walks that I go on. I used to go on these like 3-mile walks. Now I have a dog, so I don't go alone. I go with Jasper. But that I go to the gym, and that's something that I do for myself. People say like, oh, well, why do you do it for? I'm like, it's not for looks. It's my time. It's
Yeah.
me for me. And I know that's going to make me better for the person and the people that are in my life. So I think it's amazing that you were able to discover this of you, because I know that you've wanted to run the marathon for years. It's as since you were a kid. I'm sorry that you had to go through that heartbreak, and I wish that more people, and hopefully our listeners get from this, is that if you see that you're losing yourself, how do let's maybe our next thing is, how do we find ourselves in that process so that we don't lose who we are and we're able to do and accomplish things, not because of a breakup, but because we found us. It's
And I
kind of
just
like a
want to
complicated.
add to that. I was talking to a girlfriend. We were running, and she's like, "I'm sorry that you." And I was like, "No." I said, "If I wouldn't have broken up with this person, I would have never met you. I would never be running like the way that
Mhm.
I'm running." I said, so yeah, it was sad, but I always feel like everything happens for a reason. And I
Mhm.
have such trust in God that he's just leading me in my path, and I accept, and sometimes I don't understand it, but I accept it. So, when she said, "I'm so sorry," I said, "No." I said, because if I was with him, I would never met you. I would have never met this great, wonderful community. I would never be
Mhm.
like running towards like this goal. So,
Or
and
it would have come later in life, a lot
Right.
later, rather
Yes.
than when it
At a
did,
different time when you
at a
were,
I don't
different
know.
yeah.
time.
Honestly, I don't know. But anyway, I found what I needed to find. And I'm still working on what it is about Billy that, that there's more discovery, just
Yeah.
so anyway, enough about me. I feel like this is all about me, and I'm not even in this relationship with anyone else.
But I think it's important because we've all talked about I've talked about
Right.
being a mom in my
Yeah.
relationship. Nathy's talked about hers. You talked about dating, and our listeners are in various stages of their lives,
Correct.
either entering it, in it, who knows what, planning. And I think it's so
Right.
important that we're having these conversations, because I wish, though we did a lot of like bantering in high school, I don't know that self-discovery, enrichment was part of our conversation, because I know definitely that wasn't something that my mom was brought up with, or I was brought up with, or that her mother, was brought up with. It's not, and we talked about it in self-care. If you don't know that this thing exists called self-care, how can you do it? And how can you figure out who you are, and how do you maintain your relationship? I know for me as a mom, predominantly from my female daughters, not to say that Jaden isn't needing in this, but I feel like it happens to women. They do wrap themselves up, and I do constantly remind him as a male to be respectful and mindful of his girlfriend and himself, saying you need to remind yourself who you are in the relationship. Do not let the relationship revolve around you. I think that's a messaging that I have. Nathy, what about you, as far as like the fact you don't have kids, but for your nieces, and I think you have nephews, not nieces, right?
She
Nephews,
has
yes.
a female
Nephews.
niece. Oh, two female nieces. Oh,
Yes.
a
Yes.
dog named
Dogs. Yeah.
Oh yeah, two female. I was like, wait, when?
Four-legged
Since
ones.
when? Who had a baby? I was like, no one told me this memo.
But I mean, our favorite person is Camilo. How?
Mhm.
I mean, and we've seen you and Camilo together, and we've seen how supportive he has been. I mean, through this journey,
Mhm.
through all of your journeys. But like, and we know he doesn't have that much time, like free time. So the little bit of time that he has with you, and maybe sometimes you want to be in the same house but in a different room. Like, how does he
Mhm.
feel about like moments like that? Because sometimes you don't have that much free time together.
Yeah. So at the beginning, it was hard for him. He would think that I was just trying to like push him away. I was like, no, it's okay. It's okay for you to watch something different in the living room and myself in the bedroom, because he was raised that way, that everyone had to be together. Everyone had to be holding hands and be in the same room and be doing the same thing and
Mhm.
watching the same thing and listening to the same thing. And that's what he was used to. So he figured that that was what was going to happen with me. And it was really hard for him because he thought that I just didn't care about him. And I'm like, no, I do care about you. And that's the reason I do this. You know, I care about myself and I want to watch this. And if you want to watch it, it's okay. And then we'll reconvene in a couple of hours. I'll check in on you every half an hour because I got to go get a snack, you know. And are you okay? All right, I'll go back into my room and watch what I have to watch. And now he understands and he has his own group of friends and he goes out with his friends. And I go out with my group of friends. I go out with you girls. We get together and we do our own thing. And it's okay because at the end of the day, I get to come home and yay, I missed you. You know, let me tell you about my day or what did I did or what we're going to do. So it's more meaningful, at least for me. And I think he's learned and he appreciates that he also found himself. And you know, maybe we can invite him on on another episode of relationships, but he can attest to that. That I think that he's able to identify and feel like he is important as well in the relationship now, because at the beginning it was very hard for him. And I mean, we're doing so well. And of course, we have at the beginning of a relationship, we used to fight like any relationship, but we were very young too. And he's a very old soul. So he knew, I think, from the minute he came out of the womb that he needed to have a family, somebody stable. And when we got together, I was like, well, you know, we'll see where this goes. And, you know, I'll catch you later. But he was like, no, I wanted to be in this relationship. And I was like, maybe, maybe not. But, you know, I wasn't there
He was too young for Nathy at that moment.
But I mean, it has taken a lot of work because relationships is work. But every day I decide to choose Camilo. You know, we're gonna work on our relationship and choose myself and him and continue because we don't have children. And I know I have my nephews, but my nephews is one of them is grown up and I see him and I'm very happy what he's doing and I don't feel sad or, you know, because I don't see him. No, he has his friends too. And I'm like, oh, where is he? He wants to run. Oh, okay. And again, I put myself in his shoes when I was his age and it's okay for me personally. It's fine.
You know, Nathy, you keep talking about like we fight. I do not believe that you guys have any kind of arguments.
I don't. You guys
don't,
are like,
don't. Please talk to us about a challenge. And I like when you started dating because yeah, in the beginning you have the honeymoon phase. All right, no one's fighting.
right.
And you have a patch of like months or years where you're just like learning about each other and kind of you bring your baggage. You know, so you kind of have to like dig through that and fold it. You know, and then go on a nice trip. But like in the most recent years, like what has been a challenge for you and Camilo? Because you guys look like you're the perfect couple. I mean,
well, thank you. Well, so I mean, if you girls know me, I'm not as affectionate as a lot of people may be. I'm definitely a cat. I'm like, look at me. You want to hug me with your eyes. If you want to see me, you know, with your eyes only. Don't touch me. Don't come near me. So I definitely was very affectionate with Camilo at the beginning of our relationship. But as the years went by, I was standoffish. And I think that a lot had to do with my birth control because that shit fucks up your hormones. So I started stepping away. But then a couple of years ago, I sat down and I was like, no, it has to be more than my birth control. And we had a really heartful conversation and I had, believe it or not, it had been, I think like 8-9 years into our relationship. And I realized that I still had a wall up because I did not want to get hurt. So to give myself completely was like, no, because I knew that if I was to give myself completely, I was going to get hurt at some point, thinking that. And Camilo's like, no, he reassured me. And he doesn't have to reassure me anymore. And I feel like I've dropped my guard and dropped the wall and I've been able to let him in completely. And I've been able to let go completely to the relationship that I probably should have not said at the beginning, oh, I'm here 1,000%. And I really wasn't. So that was a really hard time for us.
That's powerful, and I think that 8, 9 years into a relationship, many people don't realize that they have a wall up, and I can attest to that, that I've seen the evolution. I can definitely tell that you guys are a lot more affectionate than
Yeah.
years past. So
Yeah.
the other day I was like, "God damn, like, they can't keep their hands off each other, like, we're right here," which is cute. It is
Yeah.
very cute, but it was something that I noticed, and I was like, "Oh, wow, they're a lot more affectionate than I recall from
Mhm.
years ago." And I think it's a beautiful testament to relationships. Not everything's going to be great, and you're going to have woes,
Yeah.
you're going to have ups and downs, and you're going to learn through, but I think it's important. Like you said, you were able to identify that something was not right. And then you had a conversation, and your partner was emotionally mature enough, maybe not at that time, or maybe at
Mhm.
that time he was, to have that conversation. And I think that's important.
Right.
Conversations are necessary, not just your day, but just like
Mhm.
views, future, present, plans, feelings, thoughts. Um, those are very important things that in any relationship people should have. It's a testament that I use, and I recommend it highly to many people.
Yes.
So, in wrapping up our episode, I think there's definitely going to be a part 2, because we need to
Right.
kind of maybe bring Camilo's perspective into this. I would love to have a male's perspective, because we can talk as women in our view, but there
Mhm.
are two people in a relationship. And then we have breakups. I think that's a big, big, big,
I have
topic
plenty
to
of
talk.
those stories. A lot of those stories. And when Nathy was talking about the wall, I was like, how do I build this wall? Like, I gotta call Trump and be like, dude, dude, who do I who offered these services? Because I through everything that I've been through, there is no wall. There is not even a curtain. Like, it's just, you know. But anyway,
Or
I'm a
even, how
hopeful
do you
romantic.
identify the
I'm a
wall?
hopeful
Like,
romantic, and I'll always be a hopeful romantic. So
And
mm,
that's just who you are, and
yeah.
yeah.
don't build that wall, because it's hard to bring it down after. So don't do
Mm-hmm.
it. Yeah.
Or even identifying that you have a wall. So I think in
Yeah.
our next episode, we can go into, like, how did you identify you have it?
Yeah.
I think that's great. So here's a few tips. Communication in every which way that you can. And number 1, love yourself, take care of yourself, date your partner, no matter how many years you've been together. And I say, sounds kind of weird, but go out on dates, with your kids. Dinner dates. Those are so important, because you can connect with them on a one-on-one, especially if you have multiple kids. I think it's great for mom, dad to have a date with one kid, and then mom to have a kid, date with one kid, and dad go, those are really important to connect on an individual level, as a group, family dinner. So yes, keep talking, keep dating, take breaks, love yourself. And thank you all for coming and listening to us. Please, please follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I mean,
TikTok.
no, we don't have TikTok. We don't
TikTok.
have Facebook,
No.
TikTok, and we're on Spotify.
Yes.
Thank
Leave
you,
your
ladies, for
comments, share. Yes. Everything, please. We love you. Thank you so much for joining us. Hugs and kisses. Bye.
bye.